There are many expressions that we just take for granted. We use them all the time, yet we never examine them carefully. We just say them as if they really made sense. Like, legally drunk. Well, if it's legal, what's the fucking problem? Leave me alone, officer. I'm legally drunk. You know where you can stick it. Well, why do we always assume everyone knows where they can stick it? Suppose you don't know. Suppose you're a new guy and you have absolutely no idea where you can stick it. I think there ought to be a government booklet entitled Where to Stick It. Now that I think of it, I believe there is a government booklet like that. They send it to you on April 15th. Undisputed heavyweight champion. Well, if it's undisputed, what's all the fighting about? To me, undisputed means we all agree. Here you have two men beating the shit out of one another over something they apparently agree on. Makes no sense. Here's another one. It's the quiet ones you gotta watch. Every time I see a news story about a mass murderer, the guy's neighbor is always saying, well, he was very quiet. And someone I'm sitting with says, it's the quiet ones you gotta watch. This sounds like a very dangerous assumption. I'll bet you anything that while you're busy watching a quiet one, a noisy one will fucking kill you. Suppose you're in a bar and one guy is sitting over on the side reading a book, not bothering anybody, and another guy is standing up at the front banging a machete on the bar screaming, I'm gonna kill the next motherfucker who pisses me off. Who you gonna watch? Lock 'em up and throw away the key. This is one you hear a lot from men. Men like to talk that way. Makes them feel tough. Guy sees a rapist on the TV news. He says, you see that guy? They ought to lock him up and throw away the key. This is really stupid. First of all, every time the guy's got to take a shit, you're going to have to call a locksmith. If he's in prison 30 years, even if he's eating government cheese, it's going to cost you a fortune. Second, where do you throw the key? Right out in front of the jail? His friends will find it. How far can you throw a key? 50, 60 feet the most. Even if you hold it flat on its side and scale it, what do you get? An extra 10 feet tops. This is a stupid idea that needs to be completely rethought. Down the tubes. That's one you hear a lot, People say, the country is going down the tubes. What tubes? Have you seen any tubes? Where are these tubes? And where do they go? And how come there's more than one tube? It would seem to me, one country, one tube. What, does every state all of a sudden have to have its own tube now? One tube is all you need. But a tube that big, somebody would have seen it by now. Somebody would have said, hey, Joey, look at the fucking tube. Big-ass fucking tube over here. You never hear that. You know why? No tubes. We don't have tube one. We are, sorry to say, tubeless. Takes the cake. Boy, he really takes the cake. Where? Where do you take a cake? To the movies? You know where I would take a cake? Down to the bakery to see the other cakes. And how come he takes the cake? How come he don't take the pie? A pie is easier to carry than a cake. Easy as pie. A cake is not too hard to carry either. Piece of cake.